right. Up.
4:02 on this Thursday afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the Valley Variety. As always, producer Jack Bartlett and my co-host Ben Yates. I'm Jacob Jones. What's up?
Hey, it's going on. We're now in the Bartlett box. Bartlett, thank you for letting us come into your dwelling where you usually remain by your lonesome. It's very great to have you. As also, we have a guest here. So we're going to, I want to talk about the Diamondbacks just a little bit before we go far into this. Jones, are you feeling okay? Or?
Yeah, I feel fine. And it's all good. Happened last night. We are...
Okay.
What?
Is that it? You don't want to talk? He was at the Game 5. It was an experience. You were at the World Series.
Yeah.
Did you have any fun besides seeing your team perform fairly well up until,
Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, looking back on it, I got to go to 2 World Series games, and that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. My parents hadn't done in 2001, and I want to give them a shout-out to my mom and dad, Steve and Valerie. They knew how much that meant to me, and it means a lot to me and my dad, and we were able to go and share that experience. And even though we didn't win, we went to the World Series, and it was a lot of fun. We didn't come out the end, but it was a great season. We're looking to build off it into next year.
Yeah, and now I do want to welcome our guest. Pete Sepenuk is here. He's a voice actor and a narrator, a producer. He's been a part of a lot of different franchises and businesses that you probably know of pretty well. You've probably seen a few dozen of his commercials without really knowing it. So Pete, welcome to the show, and we're so honored to have you here.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks, guys. I love your show. I love what you guys are doing. So thanks for having me on today. It's very cool.
Now, Pete, for those of the audience that probably don't know all the things that you've been a part of, can you give a quick summary of the things they might have heard your voice in?
First of all, they should know everything. If you haven't, you need to read up, study up. Bone up, peeps. So I've done, I've been around the business. So I've done all kinds of things, commercials, cartoons, narrated shows. I do a lot of promos. I do a lot of toy commercials. I started doing Hot Wheels commercials in the 90s, back when I was actually, it's funny, I was actually directing in-house Barbie spots. And I've been joking around on the set doing voiceovers, for all kinds of Mattel products. And the voiceover guy doubled his rate on the way to the session. So he, suddenly they're like, all right, forget it. Pete, you do it and we'll start paying you. So that's how I sort of started, is by doing Hot Wheels spots. And so yeah, I've done, I still do their WWE action figure spots. And I do a ton of toy commercials for Spin Master, like Batman and monster trucks. I just did a bunch of stuff for Roblox and Bakugan. And then I narrate shows. I've done stuff for Jimmy Kimmel Live. Try and do whatever. I just throw myself out there. Just try and be as open as I can to any and all jobs whenever they come my way.
And now you're also a Portland native as well, correct? You're from Portland,
yes.
Oregon. So we have a bit of connection here between Phoenix, Arizona, and Oregon. You now have DeAndre Ayton on the Trailblazers, huh? How about DeAndre Ayton?
Finally, he's holding them together.
That's a way to put it.
Well, my dad actually went to the game in 1977. The only time they ever won the championship, with Bill Walton in '77, and then we ended up getting season tickets. So my heart is still with the Blazers. Of course, I'm kind of a fair weather fan. If the Clippers are doing great, I go for them. If the Lakers are doing great, I go for them. Being an LA resident now. But I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. In fact, I was just saying to somebody, I don't know if we're allowed to use coarse language on this show. I think you guys might have in the past. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we have to bleep you out on the.
In the 70s, we had two things going on: Jack and shit.
So we'll have to bleep him out. We will get in trouble with Blaze Radio if we do go any further with all of it. But I do like the coarse language. I wish we could use all the coarse language that we could.
Sorry. I'll stop using it. We'll bleep it live. Anyway, there was, growing up in Portland, the only two things to do were to go to see the Portland Trailblazers and to go see Star Wars in 1977. So I'm seeing it live, must have seen it like 30 times. So that was kind of my childhood right there.
So
in Portland.
So Star Wars, right? So you've seen all the movies, probably the sequels as well, perhaps.
Yep. I've seen. Yeah.
You could probably give us a tier list, perhaps, of all the Star Wars movies if we asked you to so kindly do so.
I'm sorry, what list?
A tier list, perhaps, like ranking all the Star Wars movies. If we asked you to.
Heck yeah, I can rank
Okay.
them. I don't really. Oh my God, here we go.
Jack, wait. But before we do this, Jack, do we have access to a fanfare so we can announce
I do.
these?
Let's see. So definitely the first. So I always, when I talk about the Star Wars movies, it's kind of like, is it better or is it more impactful? Right? It's like you could say Empire Strikes Back is better than the first Star Wars. Episode 4, Original Hope. But as a kid who's 7 years old, and he goes to see Star Wars, the impact that movie had will never be topped by any movie ever. So I would definitely say that Episode 4 is number 1, then Empire, and then probably third would be Return of the Jedi, and then I'd probably say Force Awakens, and then probably I'd say Revenge of the Sith, and then maybe Last Jedi, and then probably Episode 9, which people don't like, which I think is fine. The Last Skywalker. And then The Rise of Skywalker, sorry. And then probably go back to the prequels, Phantom Menace. And then last on everybody's list would definitely be Attack of the Clones. Do you guys have a ranking of Star Wars? Do you guys have your own ranking?
Well,
I'd love to.
Yeah, no, I'd like to compare my list if you want. I might be the most avid Star Wars fan amongst the three of us here. I definitely have Empire number 1, and then New Hope followed by Return of the Jedi. I am a big Revenge of the Sith guy. When I go back and see it nowadays, it still holds up. Back when I was like a teenage, like a really small young scout, I was like not really into the prequels. But now when I go back, I'm kind of, after seeing the sequels, the prequels hold up a lot nicer now. They have a little bit bitter taste on my tongue, I think.
They got kind of the edge now.
Right.
It's so shocking, because when they came out, it was like I was watching a video game, It's too much CGI. It was like CGI overkill, So.
Oh yeah.
But I think I guess I couldn't call it a reboot. I think Force Awakens was so great because he was able to bring back obviously the old characters from the original trilogy and blend in these new characters. And the dumbest thing that could have possibly done in the Star Wars world was to kill off Han Solo. I mean, that was the stupidest thing possible. I mean, they just killed the greatest character. Just think how much better Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker would have been if they'd had Han Solo. So anyway.
Now, my co-host here, Jacob, I'll let you speak on it in a second, but I've been trying to get him into Star Wars. I just got him started on New Hope and Empire Strikes Back before the summer ended, and I haven't been
seen the movies before this?
He's not avidly. He's seen the clips, the people that say hey, I've seen clips of this. I know what happens, but they don't really dive into the content. Right. So I haven't gotten him to Return of the Jedi yet, and you claim that that's one of your favorite ones. How do you want to, how do you advertise this franchise, this monster franchise, to someone who still hasn't gotten into it yet?
I think it's a lot of it has to do with childhood. It's because I basically skipped school in 1983 to see Return of the Jedi on opening day. I stood in that massively long line at the Westgate Theater in Portland, Oregon, which, by the way, held the record for having Star Wars in it. It had it for more than a year. It was in there for 15 months in 1977 to 70.
That's the place to be.
So I would explain it as, I don't know, I think I was the perfect age for it. It sounds like you guys were probably watching the prequels when you were younger, and that may have been also the perfect age in a way. So I think that's sort of, it sort of has a lot more impact when you're younger. But I don't know. I just think, they're so inventive, and most people wish they could live in the Star Wars world. That's what I tell people who've never seen it. I was like, you got to go into that world. You're going to wish you had a saber, and you wish you could use the Force, and, So the people who say, oh, that's stupid, I just want to wring their necks. I just want to throw mud in their face.
I wouldn't say it's...
Yeah, that's how, but I tell them, it's really, it should be a great experience. It should harken back to sort of, your imagination as a kid, So hopefully that will work. I never get it. I never get it when I run into somebody who's my age who's never seen Star Wars. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's
that's the shocker.
It's almost like
that's the shocker.
A crime. They need to do time for that. So.
Jones, do you have any response?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't say. I don't believe they're bad movies. I saw when Force Awakens came out in 2015, and then obviously movies went out after that. You went and saw them because it was just cool to see the franchise rebooted that many years later. So I went and saw those. I just never really got into it before, but I knew the general concept, and so I wasn't blind going into these new movies. I just haven't really gotten into it. I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Went on the ride at Disneyland. It was fantastic.
You know
Saw
what
the
it is?
stuff.
I think some these movies, particularly the prequels, when they came out in like 99 and then 2002 and then 2005, I think that was all community and all hype. It was like, oh my God, I get to be around all my Star Wars nerd friends. We get to see this movie opening day. We're all excited. I didn't dress up, at least not that I tell people. I didn't dress up completely. But the excitement of going to see these movies and being with those crowds and seeing them because I saw it at the Chinese theater, all those movies at the Chinese theater opening night, and that crowd is electric. That's the greatest place to see any movie in the world, as far as I'm concerned. We go see all the Marvel movies there, all the DC movies, all the opening nights. So that hype and that excitement around the movie, it's almost the movie itself becomes like secondary to that community, to being in that group of people. So that's sort of why I go.
Oh. Jack, what's happened to our audio here? Is something happening to us Sorry, our audio has now malfunctioned out of nowhere. No one clicked a single button, and now it's...
Same thing.
Hey, now it's
We're
back.
back.
Just blame Zoom, man. Why is Zoom doing this to us?
Did you guys lose me on my amazing Star Wars monologue?
Yeah, right at the end there too, and it was getting juicy. I was getting into it, and now it got cut out, and I'm shouting at Zoom at the end of this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang! It was really good. It was really good monologue. I don't remember what I said, so I can't.
Well,
I was just saying that the community it's like being with that crowd is a lot more fun, and the movies are secondary to the being with that group of people.
I do want to ask you that because, I'm sure people that are listening to the show right now, why are we talking about Star Wars? This is supposed to be a sports kind of weird show. Why are we talking about something that should appear maybe on Sundays at 8 p.m. on Agents of Blaze, where they talk about all this pop culture and Marvel and Star Wars and other stuff they talk about? Why are we doing it on Valley Variety? Well, I brought you on because you got the voice of the XFL job as well. You've been a narrator for multiple different things. And so how do you get these gigs where your voice is just mainstream?
Well, it comes from all different types of places. I'm a voiceover manager, so I have a group of voiceover managers that I get auditions and I audition through them. I've been in this business for a while, so I have a lot of friends in business. The XFL job was crazy because it came from a friend of mine from college. A friend of mine, because I went to Chapman University, and I got in there in 1988 with like the worst grades, like the worst SAT scores. In fact, my SAT scores were so bad, when I tell people my score, they're like, is that for math or English? I'm like, no, that's both. That's combined. So anyway, they're like shocked. So he called me up. He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to be doing all these promos for the XFL, which is The Rock's, he just bought the XFL, so he and his ex-wife are running it. So they think they want like a WWE style voice. So I'm like saying, okay, great. Like this weekend and the XFL, I was getting ready to go crazy. So I sent them this audition, and they're like, no, that's not what we want at all. They want something totally toned down. They want something that sounds like Liev Schreiber, Schreiber, the guy who narrates, Hard Knocks, and he narrates a lot of documentaries. So I went and looked. He was talking about the Christians settled on the church. So I'm like, this weekend in the XFL. And so that sort of started that whole thing. They're like, yeah, that's it. That's what we want. So it was a style that I could do, that I had done, but I hadn't done it in a while. So then that sort of wound up being the style for those promos that we did. And so every week I would do promos for all the games, and they would go on all the socials. They'd go on the Rock's social, all of the socials would go on his Instagram, where he's got like 180 million followers or something like that. So it was a really great gig, and the people there are awesome. Really great group, talented group of in the marketing department are phenomenal. So I was very lucky. So I know they just merged with the USFL. So we'll see what happens when things start gelling over the next several months. But yeah, so that's how I got that job. And a lot of the jobs are, I don't know, a lot of times I'll get people say, hey man, like we don't have any money for this, but if you just one job, you'll be the guy if this thing happens, And that almost never turns into a job. But sometimes I'll do like a sizzle reel, which is like sort of like a trailer for a show that people want to make. And it actually will take off. In fact, that's what happened with this show that I just narrated for Paramount Plus called Sometimes When We Touch. It's about the rise, reign, and ruin of soft rock. I don't know if you guys, soft rock, like Barry Manilow and Hall & Oates, big, sort of softy songs from the 70s were huge. And then the 80s, it kind of fell out of favor because of MTV. And then they kind of resurrected in the 90s. So they did this 3-part documentary series on Paramount Plus about soft rock. And I had done the sizzle reel for it. And it sold the show. And then they wanted to go after some big names for the for the show itself, but everybody said no, so they came back to me and were like, okay, you can do it. So I wound up narrating that show too, so which was a great show, by the way. It turned out great. So yeah, it's just kind of it's a mix of things. It's a mix of ways to get jobs, and I think the toy business, because I've been doing toy commercials for so long, people will inevitably leave a toy company, go to another toy company, and then I'll wind up doing stuff there. So it's like I do all this stuff with Mattel, and some friends at Mattel would leave and go over to Spin Master, and I'll do stuff over there. And then somebody will leave and go over to Hasbro. I'll do stuff at Hasbro, and then someone will go over to wherever else. They'll go to Jakks Pacific. So they all kind of jump around at these toy companies. So I wound up working for all these different brands doing those things. So it's a mix.
When did you realize you had because you hear like a lot of PA announcers for stadiums, like, when I was younger, like when PA announcer said, I cried a lot as a baby, so my vocal cords were just a little better than everyone else's, like stuff like that. So
I thought you sounded familiar.
Yeah, it's so like when did you realize that you had like the voice, like you had like a good voice for it?
First of all, thank you. The first person to ever tell me I had a great voice for radio was this guy who was crazy. So he was nuts. So of course I wasn't going to listen to him. But I did radio in college, and and when I was a kid, I would always joke around doing infomercials. If you call in the next 10 minutes, you'll also get this strawberry peeler, that kind of thing. And then years later, this is bananas, I wound up doing a lot of infomercials using that exact same sort of charactery voice that I did as a kid for infomercials. And I was doing them for, some pretty big, I did them for Jillian Michaels, I did them for Richard Simmons, I did them for, Mary Lou Henner, I did it for Tony Horton, who did, P90X. So I wound up doing a lot of stuff like that, but it's all the same jokey voice I did when I was like 8, So if you call in the next 10 minutes, like that kind of thing, it's always, that kind of stuff, don't let this deal get away. So, but I sort of, it was always something I knew. I wouldn't say it's something that it's always something I thought I probably could do, but I never thought I would actually do it make a living doing it until Mattel. When I started working at Mattel, then I thought, okay. And then I took a class from this woman named Sue Blue, who's like a legend in the animation world, and that changed my life. She got me a job. She did my demo. She got me an agent, and then I started working on cartoons from there. And that sort of that's when things really took off. That's when I thought, okay, this could actually be a career. And so since for the last almost 30 years or so, it's really been a huge part of my career is doing voiceovers. So I would say probably as a kid, I thought of course, when you're 8, you think you're amazing and you can do everything, and then you get your butt kicked in the real world for a little while, and then you get some lucky breaks, and then suddenly things explode. So I got really lucky with some early breaks, I think, too.
I was gonna ask you about the Batman gig that you just got for the DC Dual Force game, but now I kind of want to hold that for later, because you mentioned a crazy guy that told you your voice is good for radio. So please tell us about the crazy guy that told you the first contact of radio, the first voice that you're thinking of. Oh, this is the guy that thinks I'm good for radio. Who was this crazy guy?
I want to say his name was Cliff, and I was taking this video class in Portland, Oregon in 1987. And this guy was really annoying, and he was an older guy. I was 17. This guy was probably 35, 40. He's taking this video class with a bunch of young peeps, which was already kind of weird. And I had said something, and he goes, "Oh, well, you should do radio." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, you got the voice for it. You got a great voice for radio." So I was like, "Wow, okay." And then I did think, well, I was like, wow, that's nice to hear. It's always nice to hear a compliment, even from somebody that's crazy. But of course, I didn't take it as seriously about that. But yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that guy. I'd love to find out where he is today, because you never know what happens to the crazies that you run into when you're younger, right? So, right. But yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
So now Batman. Tell us how you got this, and can you also tell it in a Batman voice, please? I'd like to hear the Batman impression as soon as possible. Thank you.
So everyone's got their own version in their head of how, or in their ears, in their mind, of what Batman should sound like, right? I mean, I grew up watching the old Adam West Batman. That's still my favorite Batman series of all time. And then you got Michael Keaton Batman. You got Christian Bale, who sounds like this every time he talks. Oh my God, get myself a beer. I swear, My Batman My Batman was actually we recorded my Batman twice. So the first, how I got it was, by the way, it's just a standard audition. I just auditioned like anybody else, and they sent everything to DC, and DC chose me, which was nice. And so we recorded most of Batman, and then they listened to it and they thought, oh, it doesn't sound edgy enough, because I think I was like, I can't believe you're hanging out with the Joker, that kind of thing. And they're like, okay, we want it to be a little bit more dark. So I'm like, I can't believe you're hanging out with the Joker, like that kind of thing. So they wanted to make it a little more dark and edgy, and I sound a lot older as Batman now in the game, but I think for the game it works a little bit better plus the Batman voice is the one who is the tutorial voice, so he's the one who's like explaining everything in the game. If you use these abilities on this card, you'll be able to trump the Joker. If you do it over here, that kind of thing. So he's in it a lot. Fortunately, unfortunately, if you're, but it's funny. Everyone, like I said, everyone has their own version. Like, oh, he's, everyone's hoping for, their own version of Batman, whoever they prefer. And there's a gazillion of, from Kevin Conroy to Michael Keaton. So everyone's got their own version of Batman in their head. So, but yeah, so that's sort of how how the Batman voice started in DC Dual Force.
You also mentioned you were a part of college radio, like we are right now.
Yes.
I was just curious if you had any shows with your best buds, like we're doing right here with Valley Variety.
Yes, I did. I had my own. Yeah, you guys are way, way better than we are. First of all, the great thing about your show.
See, now that's a compliment.
Talk and have conversations and go on about whatever you want. We had to actually play music. So what we would do is, it was a show it was weird. So I went to high school with I went to high school with a guy named Aaron Palmer, and he was one of my closest friends. And we wound up going to Chapman together and getting our own show there. And actually, Leslie Jones, who was on SNL, had done a show right before ours. And that's when she went to Chapman on a basketball scholarship and had so much fun doing radio. She kind of stopped doing basketball not too long after that and becoming a stand-up. So anyway, it's a little history there of Chapman radio. So we had our own radio show, but it was funny. So we do impressions. We do characters. We do like Jimmy Stewart just came in. Be like, hey, Jimmy Stewart just walked in. Oh, hey guys, what's going on here? We do this. Hey guys, Tone Loc just walked in here to the building. And then Tone Loc would come in. I think I was Tone Loc. I'd be like, hey, how you doing, Pete? How you doing, Aaron? And then it would go into like a Tone Loc song, So it was a blast. It was great. So we were popular. I think we had 15, maybe 16 listeners. So huge. Maybe more, I don't know. But yeah, so we had to play the playlist. We had a strict playlist. We had to play like the songs from a specific, so we couldn't like talk the entire time. So we were sort of in between songs doing bits. So unlike you guys, it's great because you guys get to go on and on for about an hour or so talking about whatever you want without having to play tracks, play the Ramones.
Is there a good number, an estimate that you have of how many voices you did on this show?
Oh my God! It was it was it was a lot. It was a lot. Probably we had a stable of characters. Let's see. I probably did maybe like anywhere between 20 and 30 the whole time we were doing the show. My parents would call into the show and request to hear my band. I had a band in high school. It's the only way I could get them to play. It's like, somebody called, somebody requested it.
Oh, not the Zoom again. This is just upsetting. What is this? And he's getting into the good stuff too again.
You got his band going on. Now I want to hear this band. Now I want to.
Is it working again, Jack? Oh, okay. I hear a hello.
We're back. The internet keeps going it keeps going in and out and in and out.
Okay.
And he just gave us a compliment too about how we have such a great show and how we have an hour to talk about whatever we want. And then Zoom says, no, you don't.
Zoom is not our friend, Ben.
No, it never has been, really. It's not. Where were we? You were in the middle of talking about your band, and it got really exciting, and then it just cut out again.
I was just going to say that my mom used to call into the radio station and request my band. That was the only way we'd be able to play our songs. on my old band, high school band songs on the radio, is when Mom Sepenuk calls in. She's like, I want to hear Rear End on I-5 from the Cinematographers. So we play that. So hey, they requested it. What are you gonna do? I'm not just playing my own band. People call, they want to hear it. Got to pan it to the fans.
So the band's name was Cinematographers?
Cinematographers was the name of our band, yeah.
That's brilliant.
I thought we were great. Most people thought we were god-awful, but I
Did you do your impressions through vocal recordings on the band as well? Did you do voice as well as singing, perhaps?
All the time.
There we go.
Like, I would talk through a lot of the songs. That's, instead of singing, I'd be like, hey guys, what's going on over here? Hey, what's happening? And then at one point I'd play, hey, you'll love this. It's a Star Wars song. It's called Jeff Sandcrawler. And Jeff was a Jawa who sounded like me. Hey guys, what's going on over here? Yeah, I've been trying to get some droids over here. It's gotten really hot outside, that kind of thing. I would basically talk through the whole song. as Jeff, as a regular human. As opposed to let's come on, the Jawa voices and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah. Our songs they're for us, they're the greatest thing ever. And, they're not for public consumption. You just do things for yourself sometimes. That's what my band was.
Do you still have old CD, old song? Ever listen back to it, or anyone ever asked to listen back to it, or is that just?
I transferred all of them into my iTunes folder.
Oh, there you go.
Much. They are digital, so I get to play them whenever I want. Sadly, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful though.
I'll send you guys some greatest hits.
There we go.
You never want to talk to me after you hear those.
Well, then we can play it on because we have DJ shifts over here as well, where after we're done with our show, people come in and play music. I think, guys, we secretly sneak this music onto the Mega Seg, and so people have to play this no matter what. Because people just sit here and do nothing, and it actually randomizes the music, Pete. And so somehow we can get you views. We can get you the views out here.
Forced to play our music. That's great. That's perfect. It's the only way.
I mean, if there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. That's the way.
And I do want to. Oh, okay. Wait, do you have another question, Jones?
No.
Okay, very good. Jack, did you have one on your mind as well, or just college radio?
Oh, yeah. How'd you come up with the band name Cinephotographers?
That is actually really good. That's a really good question.
Because the three of us were just movie nerds, and we didn't think there was a band called the Cinematographers, so we just called ourselves, and we're the Togs for short. We call ourselves the Togs.
The Togs.
Most people call us the Togs, but the full name is the Cinematographers. So because we were such movie geeks, we were kind of early adopters of the home video sort of genre. We were kind of pioneers back in the day because I was the only one on my street to have a Super 8 camera, so I'd make little movies with my camera. We had to shoot everything in sequence because I didn't know how to edit anything yet. And then we were one of the first people to get a video camera. It was a Betamax camera. It's like we had to have you'd have the portable Betamax and then you'd have the huge camera. So we were just making a lot of movies as kids. So that's because we love movies, because we're making movies. That's how the name came about, because we were movie dorks, basically.
Now, you've also been on Jimmy Kimmel for multiple reasons. Can you tell us what that experience was like being on Jimmy Kimmel's show?
So my voice was on there for a lot of their bits. I did a lot of bits that would satirize, like Trump, and satirize. They did a bit about, there was a lot of they were trying to limit the amount of porn shoots that were happening. So I was pretending to be a newscaster, saying that they had to put a boot. They put like a boot on your car. If your car's gonna get repoed, they put a boot on this guy, around his belt, so he couldn't work in the porn business, like that kind of thing. So I was doing a lot of narration for that type of stuff, a lot of news stuff, a lot of breaking the news, that kind of the newscastery stuff, sort of the fake news. That's kind of some of the stuff I do on that show. It's a great, he's great. Everybody there is amazing. It's a really great show to be a part of.
Someone else ask you a question. I can't.
It's So do people when you tell people you're a voice actor? Do they ask you to say? Do you get asked to do messages or at all?
All the time.
Okay. What's
so oh my God, can you do my outgoing greeting? I'm like, yeah. So I'll be like, so usually my standard is, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to buckle up, hang on, and get ready to leave a message in Ben's cell phone. Like that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm going to have to take the recording of what you just said because you said my name. So now I'm going to use that, and I'll put it as my ringtone. Thank you very much.
Boom. Yeah. I'll send it separately if you want to. So
What's
perfect.
I'm on about, I don't know, anywhere between 15 and 20 people's outgoing greetings. You'll call them up and you'll hear my voice.
His voice is everywhere.
At least expect it. Expect it.
What's the stupidest thing you've ever been asked to voice?
Stupidest thing I've ever been asked to voice.
Yeah. Or humiliating, or you can
let's
take that wherever
see.
you want.
What's the stupidest thing I've been asked to voice? Somebody, I've gotten some crazy direction, which is ridiculous. Somebody said, okay, that was fine, but do it again, only don't suck. That was one piece of direction. Another one was, okay, do it again, only like a human being, like a person. Like a person would do it.
Ouch.
Let's see. I've had, one time I was doing a job, I can't remember exactly the product, but one time I was doing a job and they thought that they had put themselves on mute, but they were having a discussion about me, so I heard everything they were saying about me. They're like, yeah, he needs to be more dramatic. He needs to ramp it up. He needs to, even somebody goes, yeah, ramping it up. He's got to ramp it up. So they come back out and they say, okay, so Pete, we're looking to have you maybe add a little more drama. I said, oh, you want me to ramp it up maybe? Yeah, ramp it up. So anyway, but yeah, I get a lot of ridiculous, I'm lucky. Most of the people I work with are very cool. And I get to work on a lot of really cool stuff. So I really can't complain too much. But I have done some crazy, stupid jobs in the past. I will say that.
So what is the
I
favorite?
don't mention on the air, so we'll have a conversation off air. Talk about it.
So what is the favorite job you've gotten then?
My favorite job I've gotten. Let's see. There's just so many. I mean, obviously, I love. It's always great when you can work on something that you love, right? Like I did a commercial for a Star Wars product, which is like a dream come true. I narrated that soft rock show because I love soft rock. Don't tell anybody. So when you get to narrate, you get to be a part of something that you actually love and something you would watch, then that's pretty exciting. I was also in a Budweiser commercial that played in the Super Bowl, so that was great.
Right.
So
the What's Up commercial, right?
People,
that's right.
Hear you at once, which was great. So that's probably my favorite voiceover job. I've had some other jobs producing too that I like because I do that too. But yeah, in terms of voiceover stuff, I would say stuff where I get to, be a part of products or shows or something that I love and that I would actually want to watch would be my favorite.
It was the What's Up commercial, right? The aliens, correct?
Exactly.
Very good.
When the dog gets beamed back up to outer space and he takes off the mask and they ask what he learned on Earth and all he says is, "What's up?" And all the aliens start going, "What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?" So, that was crazy, yeah. It's funny. Somebody goes, oh my God, just to sort of break it down and realistic, because we're getting real here, people. People are like, oh my God, you had a commercial of the Super Bowl. You're going to buy yourself a houseboat, right? I'm like, no, because it only played 12 times total.
Huh.
And so unless it plays for months and months, and you get residuals from all these times it played, you don't make a ton of money. So it didn't make, but what it did though, was that commercial keeps showing up on all these TV shows, like the 12 greatest Super Bowl commercials of all time, that kind of. So then they keep playing it and stuff like that. So it wasn't like everyone thinks it's like a huge moneymaker for the Super Bowl, but it only because you've got this huge audience the first time you play it. Like, why keep rerunning it? So, but it's to be a part of that, that sort of like to be part of that history is great for something like that.
Jack, you remember that commercial, the Budweiser commercials, correct? From the Super Bowl. Do you remember this one that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Very good. This is like an iconic one. Yeah. Where would you rank it amongst commercials that you've seen from the Super Bowl in your personal opinion, Jack?
Oh gosh.
You're a big Super Bowl commercial guy, so especially when it comes to other beer companies. You rank these periodically, I imagine.
Is that right? Oh, that's cool.
Oh gosh. all-time Super Bowl beer commercials.
Yeah, there's been a lot, especially the
There's-
Bud Knight. You know, those are really good ones. But
Yeah, Bud Knight's probably like.
but the
number one.
what's up Budweiser, like that's
I'll put that at like 2 or 3.
wow, 2 or
Bud
3.
Knight at 1 and Budweiser was up at 2 or 3.
Very good. The Dos Equis falling a bit, but that's not as good as the what's up and the Bud Knight. I mean, those are just iconic.
Yeah. Budweiser also gets the upper edge because it's a little bit better beer.
Whoa! Hey, look at that.
Facts.
A bit of.
Facts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ruth.
This might be Jack's favorite segment we've ever done.
Same. That's so cool that you rank your favorite Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah.
Do you? So.
Oh, you don't know what we.
Beer commercials, like, where would you rank, like, all the E-Trade stuff and all the stuff with, like, the monkeys and that kind of thing? Do you like rank those as well, or is it kind of like you just kind of rank the beer commercials, which are obviously dominant at the Super Bowl?
It depends on like what kind of industry they're in, like beer goes with one. Then you got like a food one, so like the Cheetos commercials, all those kind of commercials in one category, and then everything else.
Right. Got it.
He really.
Where do the
really does
Snickers
his work.
commercials rank? You're not you when you haven't had a Snickers. Those ones. Those are pretty good, right?
Yeah, those I'd put the Cheetos Time Machine one at 1 for
Whoa.
food. Do you remember that one, Ben?
I remember. I just like the Doritos ones where in the.
Oh, that's what I mean.
You know what I
Not
mean?
Cheetos, Doritos. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I meant. The Time Machine
during
one.
no, during the screening of like the pregnant woman on a getting to see her baby on the monitor for the first time. The Doritos following the baby's following the Dorito, and then they throws the Dorito on the
That's
floor.
a gem.
Yeah.
That is a classic. And then let's talk about the Tide ad commercials. Oh my God, David Harbour was going crazy on the Tide commercials that year.
Yeah.
That was an
Right?
iconic season.
Damn. I don't remember what year that was. It was a blur.
I think it was 2017.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Eagles. I vividly
So
remember
18.
Eagles.
18 then,
18.
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boom, baby. I got it.
Tomato.
Yeah.
I don't know a commercial that's been spoofed more though than the Was Up, because
Yeah.
people have made their own version of it and
Yeah.
like gone. That's like the most like I don't think there's a commercial more maybe than the Tide ad. It's a Tide ad, but that's like said more just as a phrase than Was Up. Like
Right.
that's just a phrase. Like it's just a it's
Yeah,
a
and
trademark.
it's almost like the
Budweiser uses a
commercial
trademark
that
it.
I was in, that my voice was in. It's almost like a parody of what they had already done in a way too. It's almost like a spin-off of their own spots, right? It's like, well, let's keep that same theme, but we'll have it aliens this time. It's like a little bit of a reboot, in a way.
We're going to put a
So-
poll question here. Haley, did Budweiser revolutionize What's Up? Yes or no? There we go.
1,000%. So that was from, I don't know if you guys probably knew this. That was, they took a short film. That's where these guys, that's all they do is say, what's that, what's something. Took a short film and they turned it into a commercial. I think that's what happened. And the guy who directed that commercial, Charles Stone, started directing all those commercials. And I think some of the guys who were in the short were also in those commercials. So, little history there for you guys. You guys probably already knew that, though. You're pros.
We're getting so many compliments here. Our egos are starting to be boosted by this one interview because we've already been telling us, like, oh, you have a better show than we had in college. Well, like, man, what are we doing here? Like, should we get monetized?
You guys are changing lives. Come on, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. You guys are putting out the vibe. Like Taylor Swift, you may not like her music, but damn, does she have a vibe? Does she make power, some kind of like amazing positivity in your life, right? You go to that concert, good God, it's a game changer. It changes your life. Good God.
Haley, are you able to?
Not that I
We're gonna
went
keep
6
you up
times
on your toes
once.
here.
Wait, not Z's or S's?
Z's. We're gonna on the What's Up Z's.
Couple, okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
do Z's on the What's Up because it's a visit. What's Up, But let's also, if we can also keep up with this one, let's put it on the poll. Does Taylor Swift's vibes? What is it again? Taylor Swift's vibes. So what do you got, Jack?
Game change.
Game changer.
Game
Oh,
changing?
Taylor
Saving
Swift
lives.
vibes are game changer. Yes or no? Yeah, there we
Saving
go.
lives.
Saving lives. Yeah.
Saving
Oh,
lives.
Do they
Taylor
save
Swift's
lives?
vibes are saving lives. Yes or no? There we go. There we go.
Saving lives. Greatest night ever. Not that I went.
So, Jack here is actually, you're a Kansas City fan, Jack. So you're in the the front line of the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce relationship, and you're a hard defender on it. So Pete, what is your opinion on this Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing? Is the NFL covering it too much? Should Kansas City Chiefs fans lay off a little bit? What's your take on it?
Well, the fact I felt bad for Travis when they lost to the Denver. First of all, I can't believe they lost to the Denver Broncos. Second of all, when they lost and he was walking on the field and they were playing "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift, that was a bit much. That was a little mean. That was like
that's
one step too
mean-spirited.
far. And so that was the first time where I thought, "Ooh, this is like negative vibes." Poor Travis.
And of all the
But not
teams to
really,
do
'cause
it.
he's dating Taylor Swift, so he'll be just fine. He's gonna recover nice and smooth. I think I think it's actually hilarious. I think it's great. I think it's super fun. I think that what's interesting is you get to sort of see Taylor Swift be a fan instead of being the object of all the other fans looking at her doing performing whatever. Now she's just always in the box cheering him on. So I think people love watching like a caged animal in a zoo as she's watching his games. So I don't know. I actually think it's fine. I think it's sort of funny. I think it's the hype will not. I mean I can't think of a more famous. I mean, she's like Madonna in the 80s and 90s. I mean, she's basically, there's no more famous person right now on the planet than she is. I mean, it's insane. I don't think we've seen this level of stardom in a long time. So it's pretty miraculous. So I think it's great.
Now,
I mean, I don't know if it's going to help or hurt the Kansas City Chiefs, but you guys probably have better insight than me. But who knows?
right. I was in Vegas actually during the Chiefs-Jets game that they had, and I think someone counted the amount of times they put a score between Aaron Rodgers and Taylor Swift, who was on the camera more during that game, and Taylor Swift won by about 3 camera cuts.
Who won?
Taylor
won?
Swift by about 3 points. Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That probably yeah. Because Aaron Rodgers is just like sitting on the sidelines watching his team.
Right, a really large RBF on Aaron Rodgers and a very ecstatic Taylor Swift throughout most of the game.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God, that's fantastic. That needs a rewatch. That's phenomenal. So yeah, I think I mean, obviously, she's just not gonna go back on tour until next fall, so she's got plenty of time to go to games. So, leave her alone. Let her go to her games.
What do we have here? We got about probably 10 minutes left here. Let's get some last few questions in here. Let's see the writer strike that's been going on. How has that affected you, especially as someone that's in LA right now? Have you been out there, or has this just been affecting you in any way?
Yes, it has. Gonna get serious for a moment. Just kidding. We're not. No, we'll get serious. No, seriously, it's affected everything in Hollywood. Not just work, not just studios and work with on shows and stuff, but it's affecting restaurants. It's affecting. What I feel sorry for the most are like the people who are like makeup artists and set dressers and all those guys, because they haven't been able to work. I have a friend is a set dresser, and he hasn't worked since February when the writers' strike sort of started to ramp up right after that. And now with the actors' strike, and they're literally negotiating right now, and fingers crossed they finally come up with a deal. It's all about AI. But luckily, the stuff that I do for the most part isn't part of the strike. I mean, the strike is about both the writers and the actors, mainly about theatrical contracts of movies and television series in regards to streaming. So the writers want to be protected by AI. The actors want to be protected by AI. The streaming, the way the streamers are right now, you just don't make the money that you used to be able to make on a network show. Because before, if you did a network show, it would be on ABC, and then it would play again, and then it would go into repeats, and then it would go into syndication, and then you'd make all this money from that. Now, if you do a show for Netflix, it's just on Netflix. So you're not making nearly the money that you used to be able to make. So I think that they're trying to sort of find the happy medium between the studios giving up too much or not enough. There's definitely a fight there to be had. I think AI is it's scary. I mean, a friend of mine, you guys will be interested in this because you do this podcast. A friend of mine was telling me about this. She works on this podcast, and the podcast host doesn't even record anything anymore. She just types it all up into a document, hits a button, goes into the software, and it comes out. And I'm like, it's going to sound totally computer generated. It does not sound computer generated. It sounds pretty close to being semi-human, which was a shocker. So anyway, so they're fighting for that. They're fighting for the likeness because, by the way, here's the best analogy I can make is that people are like, oh, actors, actors are they're such divas. They're like, if somebody makes a chair, you shouldn't have to pay every time you sit in the chair. I'm like, yeah, but nobody's getting paid to sit in that chair. Like the studios and the networks are making money every time they show that show somewhere. They're making money off your likeness. So the actors should be getting paid for that. So I just don't think. I think there's a general sort of misconception about that. So yes, in terms of the strikes, yes. But like I said, it doesn't fall into a lot of stuff I do because I do a lot of commercials and promos and certainly like narration, I do a lot of foreign dubbing too. But so that doesn't fall into what they're striking about. So it's fine for me to keep doing that. Oh man, I've been doing a lot of it. So geez, fingers crossed, not coming after me. No, it's totally fine. So yeah, but hopefully they're going to come up with a resolution that where all the parties are satisfied. So I'm hoping maybe even today or tomorrow. So
well, yeah,
fingers crossed, boys.
Yeah, is there a challenge too? I mean, because you work in that industry where it's paid by viewership and by runtime, and when things are put on a certain time schedule, that's how people get paid. So is there a challenge too for that's going on, and that can be a challenge too of you're just trying to find almost not looking for the money, but also I get paid because this gets put on air, and there's people striking for it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. That's the hardest thing about working as a freelance voice actor or freelance producer or freelance anything. It's just getting paid. Even companies I'm not going to mention names. It rhymes with Mishni. Anyway, even companies take forever to pay actors and take forever to pay different producers and stuff like that. There's just I don't know if it's they all have a 90-day net that turns into a 150-day net or whatever, where you don't get paid for 5 months or whatever. So that's the frustrating thing. So so they're working out a situation. I think that's part of what they're negotiating. So they get paid. Here's what they're also trying to do. They're also trying to get the actors paid for auditions, because so many auditions now are you have to do it yourself. It's self-tape. So there used to be a thing where if you had to self-tape it, you would get paid for it. I think it was a little blurb in the contract, a SAG contract years ago, but it was never enforced. But now I think it's gonna be enforced. So in terms of so that's the hardest thing is making the money and then actually getting it. It's always a little bit of a struggle, especially in the freelance world, to actually get your dough. But thank God for Venmo and Zelle and PayPal, man. They're oh, we don't have we haven't gotten the money yet. I'm like, yeah, PayPal, you got Zelle, you got Venmo, you can pay it. How about now? How about that? So anyway, it's always a little bit of a struggle, but it all kind of works out though in the end, hopefully.
To end it more on a lighter note, we talked about your favorite projects, your least favorite projects. What about just voice overall? What's the past narrating? What's your favorite voice that you've had to do? Your favorite impression that you've done throughout your entire life? What's the impression that you just like to use?
Well, when I was in high school, I used to do an impression of Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
My mother never loved me. She used to breastfeed me through a straw. That was my favorite comedian of all time. So I got to take that voice and put it into a character. And oh my God, I just realized you guys actually put that character on your little Instagram ad. Which, by the way, I don't know who did that little collage of myself and those characters, but I need that contact info because that's amazing.
That was me actually. Yeah,
So whoever did that, I need to have a conversation. That was great.
That was me.
Get them on
Yeah.
our team. So there's this
there we go.
character named Donda Chaka that's a part of this really popular anime series called Bleach.
Look at me, Louie.
And I did that voice. I do that voice for that show. In fact, it's still on. I just came back and did a bunch of new episodes and on Hulu. It's a Rodney Dangerfield voice, so it's like, hey guys, what's going on over here? Oh my god, I gotta take a load off. Hey, it's burning over here. I don't understand. I'm playing the worst game of my life. Like that kind of thing. That's probably one of my favorite voices that I've done.
Well, I thank you for continually boosting our egos, especially mine as the graphic designer for that. It was a pleasure actually having to do that.
We gotta have some words afterwards. We gotta chat. Because, yeah, that was well done. Well
Thank
done
you.
all the way around, dudes. I think you guys got something good here. So, real quick before we go, where are you guys in school? Like, what year are you all?
We're all seniors. We graduated.
Okay.
We graduated in May.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, it's
And
all big time.
Are you gonna move west? Come back home? What's the deal?
Well, Jack, you're from Kansas City. Jacob here, he's from Phoenix, and my family resides in Orange County. You actually met my dad at the Chapman Founders Day, actually.
Yes.
That's how I got word of you. Yeah.
A legend in his own right. Absolutely. Alum.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I'll probably be back home for a little bit. I don't know where we're all saying, like, whoever hires us first, right? So that's where we'll be, and
Exactly.
we'll take what we can
Well,
get.
you guys got it. You guys got the magic it factor, so I'm feeling good about your success going forward. It's
All right.
gonna be good. Whatever you guys do, it's gonna all work out. It's gonna be big.
Uh,
So when you get excited for your real lives. Get excited for your lives. Post school. June 2024 is gonna be an explosion. Look out, boys.
Well, thank you so much for having this time, taking the time to do this show. Can you actually leave us with one thing? If I could just ask for one favor here, can you do like a narration sign-off of the Valley Variety? Do like the most epic, dramatic, the Valley Variety. Like just kill the show with the, this is the Valley Variety, the most dramatic ending that you could possibly think of for us.
I'm sorry, I can't do that. Just
Okay,
kidding.
very good.
All right, let's see. Here we go.
This will be the stupidest question he's
Listening
had.
to the Valley Variety at ASU, the greatest podcast in college history. Now, go forth, my young friends, and get that win.
That's
That
it.
was awesome.
That's it. Give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And have a good day. Fantastic to have you.
Thanks for having me, boys. Well
Thanks
done.
for the time.
You can end the meeting, Jack.
Recording
Thank you.
stopped.
Yes. Well done. All right. So we will wrap up the show here live, and we'll send our regards over the emails and Instagram and exchange contact information for graphic design so he can be helped out. Anyway, we have 3 minutes left. Is there anything else we want to discuss in sports world before we go here? James Harden, perhaps. Diamondbacks again, maybe. Rangers.
This is like I was like thinking about it now, like remember the Jones minutes when we used to be in the studio or in the edit
Yes.
of Jones minutes were just like how much can you wrap up in a minute that we don't usually talk about, because when we were fishing just to get it on an ASU platform.
Right.
That's what I feel like
we're doing right now.
That's what I feel like we're doing right now.
What do we have? James Harden. Anything to it?
James Harden's on the Clippers.
Insulting.
James Harden on the Clippers. Rangers have won the World Series.
Yeah. Straight finessed by the 76ers. Not 76, by the Clippers, by the way. Straight finessed.
Right.
Finessed the 76ers. And poor Grace Del Piso's on Twitter just mauling about it. It's really important. So at the end of the day, Philly fans are still down bad.
Yeah, tough month for the Philly fans.
Yeah. But you know what? We'll wrap it up here. Jack, can we get a promo going while I stall for you, or is that is it too much to ask with our terrible production? Okay.
I don't have any of the
Good.
That's sounds.
Good. Very good.
So
well,
can't help you there. I'd love to, but
we all rushed in today. You know, it's nobody's fault. It just happened. It's unfortunate, but hey,
it's show business.
It is show business. Again,
the show must go on.
Next week we'll be back here again, probably without a guest. But that was phenomenal, boys. Right?
Yeah, that was
phenomenal. Let me see if I get. All right. Hey, I got a promo, Jack. Hey, there we go. Don't worry about it. I got it covered.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's sign it off here. Valley Variety. See you guys next week. Later.